All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hurt Business Podcast. My name is Ferris Shry, and today my guest is one of the striking coaches at New England Cartel, a trainer at the Hard Knocks over in Hyde Park. He is Jake Mainini. How we doing today?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, first, I feel like it's only right we open with UFC 284, which happened last night. Mega
hmm
fight between Volk and Islam. How did you think it went down?
I tell you what, I did not have that fight going that way one bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be maybe 2 rounds max, but Volk surprised everybody. I think Volk surprised everybody.
Yeah.
Um, Islam tried to do his thing. He actually struck really, really well. I got a bunch of questions from my friends and some of my students. Like, Volk should walk through him on the feet, right? I can't sleep on Islam striking. It's very fundamental. It's basic. But man, it works. It works. Just Volk, he's a monster, man. He's a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah, people expected Islam to shoot right away, and Islam was on the feet for majority of that
hmm
fight.
Yeah.
What signs do you see in Islam striking that led you to believe there's no way Volk is just gonna breeze through him on the feet?
Because there's nothing fancy about it.
Mm,
There is nothing pretty about his striking. It's aesthetically pleasing because it's fundamentally sound, but he throws all of his weapons. He uses them sparingly only because he doesn't have to use them. But I mean, he timed an elbow against somebody like Volk, who's not only shorter, was very awkward in his movement, comes in like a lightning bolt. I mean, there's a lot to be said. And a lot of these guys, especially the Dagestanis, who have some serious. We saw it with the Brazilians back in the day. Um, just because most of their finishes come from the ground doesn't mean they aren't competent on the feet. Um, just watching him, old videos of him hitting pads, him sparring with Khabib, he looks way more comfy on the feet than some of his teammates. And I figured it was going to be some strategy in there with the front kicks and the elbows if Volk got too close. And sure as shit, we got to see it.
yeah, some of those elbows where he like caught him coming in, definitely Muay
hmm
Thai style, was
Clean,
some
man, real clean.
sweet, sweet stuff. Did you think the right man won?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
I agree.
absolutely. That
Yeah.
knockdown too. I watched it a few times. It I can't tell if it looked like Islam was starting to sprawl because Volk came in really low and then came up top. And I don't know if Islam got caught. I mean, he got hit. He did get hit clean. He got hit in the spot that guys do. They sometimes because up here will get dropped from. But it looked like he was already on his way down and then got hit. It didn't look like the hit happened first. I have to watch it again. Not taking anything away from Volk. That was a super clean shot. It's tricky. Islam didn't look too rattled. Again, I'll watch it again before I get all the hate comments.
A lot of people thought Islam won, though. I was on Twitter last night, and everybody
Yeah.
was saying robbery. I think Joe Rogan even came out saying that he thought Islam Volk won, and I didn't see it. I thought Volk definitely won the fifth and the third, I believe, decisively. And then the second
Yes.
round was kind of a toss up, could
hmm
go either way. But what a wonderful fight. Would you see that again? Would you want that again, or do you want Volk to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was awesome. That was such a good fight. I do think that Islam it wouldn't go the same way. I think Islam does a better job of uh, basing on Volk's Max trilogy. I think, granted, we haven't seen Islam run it back. I don't think with anybody yet. Um, I do think Islam's camp is a little bit better at game planning. Volk tends to stick to what he knows and does it really well. But I think we saw almost the same Max fight 3 times in a row
Yeah.
with like minor differences. But I would give Islam's team the edge in terms of game planning and executing.
Mm. And then the co-main last night, Yair and Emmett. What did you think of that fight?
Exactly how I thought it was going to go. Exactly to a T. I thought it was going to be a submission. It would be later. I think I was assuming that Yair was going to kick the absolute tar out of Emmett for about 2, 3, literally kick for 2 or 3 straight rounds, not take any chances with his hands, and then just eventually just wear him down and submit him. These guys who have hard chins, man, and you can say that Emmett's got a great gas tank, and he does, but he's got a great gas tank when he's not getting hit to the body, when he's dictating fights on his own pace. Yair will find the body 9 times out of 10, and he'll find it with several different weapons. His whole left side curriculum, his every weapon he's got on the left side is clean. The application's clean, and it was all to the body. He'll throw 1 or 2 of those kicks up top when he's got you dropping your arm from the liver kick or the knee, but those guys that they're suspect to the body. You either have a chin or you have a stone body. You don't have both. I firmly believe that you do not have both. Um, yeah, the submission came early. I can't really read too well what's going on the ground in terms like at that level. So I don't know if Emmett made some mistakes or if genuinely he was just like hurt and couldn't put anything together on top. And yeah, there's no joke on the ground, man. You get caught up in all of his fancy stuff on the feet, but that dude's no joke on the ground.
Yeah, it showed that. He pulled that triangle out of nowhere.
Flew up. Man, that thing got up quick.
How do you assess his striking? I know you said the left side's all just super elite, but as a Muay Thai guy, what other things do you see in Yair that is just like, wow, this guy's special?
His control. So it's a blessing and a curse when you're that explosive. You will cover ground quickly. You'll surprise guys, so you can catch them before they kind of anticipate and crowd you. But at the same time, he will crowd himself and make some big mistakes. Guys like that, like the shots are big, the damage is big, but also the mistakes are big. You can't have both your cups filled. However, his ability to go from upper body to lower body, same side on the fly, it's incredible. The second you got to read on his kick this a punch coming over the top, and those punches don't have to be hard. Your hands are down, you're not looking for it, and it's a little pop shot. Those are the ones that get you in the eye, and you have to blink, or pop you in the nose, and your eyes start watering, or a small little cut. There's a lot you got to worry about with that kid. But we've seen before what happens when big explosive strikers like that get crowded, or they miss more than they hit. That stuff, it's like a car going out of control. But Josh is there to be hit. You know, it's his game to catch you after you hit him. And with a guy like Yair who knows how to take some steam off of his strikes to get back out of range, that's a losing fight 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, he did catch Yair in that first round. It
He
looked a
did,
bit
yeah,
scary. I was like, "Ooh,
yeah.
uh-oh." But Yair
And that's
responded great.
that's what I'm talking about, though. If you watch the sequence, I believe Yair threw a kick and then a punch, or he threw a kick and he put his feet right down. He didn't like find a stance. He put his foot right down. Maybe it hit off of Josh Weird and went straight down. He tried to punch. So he punched from an almost squared up stance. And I mean, you can't. Good God, taking that shot and staying on your feet, I was pretty impressive. But that's
Yeah.
that's where you're going to get a guy like Yair hurt.
Mm, Well, congrats to Yair, the new interim
Yeah,
champ.
yeah,
Aside from
well earned.
Yair, who else in the UFC and also the cartel guys? Let's
Mhm.
exclude them from this. Who are like some of the strikers or fighters on the feet that you are super impressed with?
So I think Ortega's last outing on the feet, the the Chin Sung Jung, the zombie fight, he looked loads better. Tyson's probably gonna bust my chops for this, but shout out Jason Park. he uh,
Yeah.
he works with Brian. Jason is a friend and a colleague in the Muay Thai community. He's one of I think we came up in the same generation, but he's gone on to do some great work with some of the MMA guys out there. Brian looked really clean, but I mean you got Ilya. You
Yeah.
know he's a monster.
Yeah.
He has some holes, but I mean you stand in front of that dude, it is a wrap.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's a lot of power in that little package.
Yeah. And he can bounce around 45. He can go to 55. He's kind of like a
Yeah.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I wonder which one it is. Does he cut a lot to get to 45, or is he just like, naturally a little bit bigger and fits into 55 comfortably?
Mhm.
And at what point do you lose your athleticism? Because he's young. I think he's late 20s still. I don't think he's 30. Um, yeah, so I mean, he's still got that the ability to swap between those, but that doesn't last forever.
Mhm.
Not without a cost.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely that those weight cuts may get taxing at some point. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
who else? What about these like Israel Adesanyas and those types of guys? How do you assess their striking?
So outside of our two divisions, I'm a huge fan of Izzy striking. It works for Izzy because of his build. He's a guy who strikes like he should. There are a lot of guys who try to be power punchers when they're a little bit longer and have plodding footwork, and vice versa. There's guys who try to be that cool sniper with the karate stance that just, they're 5'7", 155 pounds. It's not a good look. No names. Um, you have to figure. You got to look comfy. Guys got to look comfy striking. Um, I mean, Paul Tons, he's always going to be. He's the only one who can do that style, and it's got some diminishing returns. He has to take a ton of damage to get what he wants. He does have a pretty good pull and slip game, um, but it's all done really big, like chin up, the whole thing. You stand in front of him though, and he can clip you with that left hook that comes from his pocket. I mean, it's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. It's coming from the floor. There's like little to no hip rotation. It's just like a shoulder hook with his elbow down. It's pretty. It really is. But it's just, I mean, what are you going to do? It's hard to take this because the second you start thinking about that, it opens up all of his other weapons. I mean, he kicks with his chin in the air, knees with his chin in the air. He breaks a lot of rules, but he makes it work. Those are the strikers that I find entertaining. The guys who don't abide by the rules, just making it work for you. To a degree, you look at some of what is his name? I think he's in Rob's weight class. Not Dagestani, but he's an Eastern European. I damn if you said his name. Really exciting. He just knocked out a kid on Nick's card, I believe. The one Nick fought. He knocked out a Brazilian cat.
Is he top 15?
I think he is now. He's either like on the cusp. But he's a fun striker. A lot of bigger things too, a lot of jumping stuff. He reminds me of like a more disciplined Zabit. Yeah, he's a Mosvar Evelev. I think that's who it is. Short hair, doesn't rock the beard. I think he's a 35er. Yeah, he's fun. I think he's one to look out for sure.
Yeah, dude, a bunch of good strikers. Now, aside from the U.S.
Last night too, I don't want to skip over this because this kid, Della Maddalena.
Oh,
holy shit!
Oh yeah!
Oh my goodness, that kid. I mean, he's a must watch. He's a must watch. He's always going to be a must watch. But he's for as hard as he hits, I wouldn't say his style's awkward. It's a little different. He doesn't get touched often. He's pretty clean, and that's very, very important, especially at this stage of where he's like just about to hit that crest. I mean, he just fought Randy Brown and barely broke a sweat.
Yeah,
Randy Brown's no joke.
Yeah.
He's a big dude, hits hard, got a kind of a funky style, hard read. That kid's gonna be one to watch for sure.
Yeah, man, what a performance by him. I was almost shocked by it because, like you said, Randy's no slouch. Randy's is a real guy, and he just stood there with his hands high, and he caught him once, and it was just over.
Man, he's punching from different angles, but nothing too crazy. It's clean. His feet are underneath him every time. Something else, man. Kid's something else.
Yeah. So aside from the UFC and all those wonderful strikers, let's talk a little bit about your striking and your past. How did you get into Muay Thai?
I got into Muay Thai because I was doing karate, Weijiru karate for a couple of years, and I wanted something a little more full contact. I lucked out. My first sensei in karate he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the highest ranked black belts in Weijiru in the country, and he was 2 towns over. I was actually dating his daughter, and she was like, "Hey, I got to go to karate," and I was like, "Oh, karate, that's cool. You're 16 years old," and she's like, "You should come and try it." And I tried. I fell in love with it. 2.5 years straight. Loved it. Me and a couple of my other buddies did it. And then one of the other kids I was taking Weijiru, the next town over, Mike Panini, he got me into Muay Thai. We were both looking for a Muay Thai gym. We wanted something a little more intense. And the only gym that we could find, now I'm 38. This is when we were maybe 18, 19. We just started getting our licenses and stuff. The only gym was on the other side of the city. It was in Revere. We're in the South Shore.
Coming up? Okay, South Shore. Okay.
Yeah, Whitman Hanson.
Okay.
So it was a hike.
Yeah.
So we did our intro. We got to drop by and watch it, and it was just the gnarliest thing I've ever seen. I'll never forget the look and the smell of the gym when I went in there. And it was different, man. These guys were hitting pads. They were grunting. I mean, they were crushing things. And I to be honest with you, because I didn't know too much back then I was young, they could have all been beginners, and I still would have been blown away. It was just intense. Everything was intense. Everything was done hard. There was no pretty, there's just no flow about it. It was, these guys are trying to break a brick wall with a hammer. It was awesome. It was so fucking cool. So we ended up, unfortunately, we did the logistics. It was going to be hard to afford gas, drive up there, the whole time thing. Because, we were working. So a couple of weeks later, we found out the gym actually closed and moved south of the city into Dorchester. Now, that's much closer for us, 35, 40 minutes. So we went and checked it out. Me, this kid Pat, and then Mike. Pat and I did karate together at the same dojo. Mike was from the next town over. We met. We have a joint high school, and we all went up. And Pat, I quit. I quit after maybe 3 months. Wow. It was too hard. I was a puss. Pat and Mike stuck with it. Pat ended up stopping about 6 months later. And then about 9 months, Mike had his first fight, and he was fighting in Philly. And now I'm just a fat skateboard rat. Really didn't do anything with myself. And Mike was training every day. We'd be done with school, and he would just go to the gym. Mike fought in Philly. We went, checked it out. Man, the same feeling I had watching that in that intro day when we went to Revere, it was the same feeling I had when Mike was doing it. I felt like I was missing out on this. And watching my fight, I was like, all right, got to go back. This is it. So now we're about a year later. I remember for Christmas that year, I'd asked my parents for a membership to a gym so that I could get in shape and then go to do Muay Thai. And they're like, we're just going to get you a 3-month membership to go Muay Thai. Get in shape, do Muay Thai. So thank goodness my parents had their foresight. Stuck with it, man, and I didn't stop. I had my first fight about a year in, just shy of a year, and then I fought for 6 years straight as often as I could. And I took a little break, fought again, took a little break. Now I'm back in a coaching role. I went back to college and all that stuff. Went for kinesiology so I could end up helping the fighters. Yeah, I actually wanted to take a step away and be more of a strength and conditioning style outlet for them and step away from pad holding. I was just a little burnt out being in the gym. Um, and man, I held pads. It was like year 11. I helped one of my guys that I was working with, Julio Pena, one of my training partners. He's getting ready for his when it was either his pro debut or his second pro fight. He was like, hey, Crew Bill can't make it to the gym. Can you hold pads? And I was like, sure, I haven't held pads in years, but I'll give it a go. Man, I picked those things up and Julio was crushing them. And I started thinking a little more about all this. How about this? And I just fell back in love. Fell back. I said, I finished school. I said, forget that. We're not doing kettlebells or sprints. I'm picking up a pair of pads. I'm going to throw my shin pads on. I'm going to spar. I'm going to be back in the mix with you guys. And that's what I missed. It turns out I missed being in the trenches. And I knew, there's not a lot of money in Muay Thai. I mean, the love, the passion for it trumps it all. It really does.
Did your parents ever try to stop you from fighting and competing professionally?
No. Nope. They definitely, my poor mother. My mom would ask me when I was going to stop. My father, he just, nope, that's it. We have boxers in my family. So, combat sports and I wasn't the first one to do it. But they were definitely hoping that I would just stick with school and like any parent, right? Any parent. But they knew that there was no real major outlet at the end of this. There was no, UFC championship. There was no this, there was no that. But they knew that I loved it. And it genuinely drove every aspect of my life, to the point where it may have ruined relationships, may have stressed my living with my parents, my friends. I didn't get to see them off like any fighter goes through, but it's all consuming. And my parents saw the passion and they stuck with me. I mean, as often as they didn't want me, as much as they didn't want me to fight, they'd be buying me Thai shorts because my other ones smelled too bad. Asked me to replace my shin pads. My mother used to let me put my gloves and my shin pads in these big freezer bags and put them in the fridge. You put them in the freezer to help kill the smell. She would freak out, but she was like, it's better than leaving them in the foyer. So I have to take them out of there. So, they were supportive, but, they didn't love when I fought. My mother had to have a little bit of wine in her before I got in the ring.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I have no fighters in my family, and I just can't imagine what they're going through. You talked about Muay Thai not being as popular in parts of the world. Why do you think that is?
I think it's got a big spiritual aspect and stadium Muay Thai. So the Muay Thai that's fought in Thailand at the bigger stadiums where all the gamblers are, it's kind of where you want to end up. The rules are a little funky in terms of how the rounds are. Like the guys will take off the first 2 rounds because the bettors need to communicate and put money down, and that slows the pace down. And then there's 2 minutes on the stool instead of 1. So these rounds are long. The rounds are 3 minutes, but the stool time is 2 minutes. So, you're almost 10 minutes into a fight and you're barely seeing any action. I think some of like the Hmong Kong thing we wear on our heads, the armbands, the Y crew, the ceremonial dance before is a little. I love it. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's not consumer friendly, so to speak, unless you're in that part of the world. It's a lot more fun and exciting now that we're doing, like one championship, Roger Domino World's RWS, even some promotions in America right now are doing 4-ounce glove Muay Thai. 1 minute on the stool, they're scoring differently. They're not letting people clinch as much. The pace of a Muay Thai fight is either hyper violent and it's the coolest thing you've ever seen, or it's just like a chess match. And that's entertaining to guys like me, but to guys like you may not love it. You want to see the knockouts, you want to see the hard kicks, you want to see blood, guts, glory, all that stuff. You either get it or you don't in Muay Thai. There's no in between. And that can be a turn off for some people. But it's gaining steam now. There's a little more money in it. Thankfully, the US is moving the needle. But again, it's going to be a while. It's
Mm.
going to be a while.
Yeah, just like with anything, right? You see
Mm,
MMA like 2 decades ago didn't even exist, and how far it's come. Hopefully, same
yeah.
thing for Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Talk about Thailand. I read somewhere that you went a few times and trained out
Mhm.
there. What was that like?
Yeah. So my first trip, we were a Fairtex gym, we're part of the Fairtex lineage. By the time I got to Boston Muay Thai Academy, it used to be Fairtex Revere. They had moved somewhere further back in the lineage. There was a changing of hands, so we were no longer Fairtex by name, but we still had contact. So I went to Fairtex in Bang Phai, which is just outside of Bangkok, and it's a gated gym. So a lot of the gyms they're pretty gnarly out there. But there are some that are a little nicer, and then there are some that are like Club Med. This one was kind of in between. So I was out there. I went. Actually, that kid Mike Panini, who I mentioned earlier, got me into Muay Thai, was coming out with me. He didn't look at his passport in time, so I went out alone. I went. That's my first international trip, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, dude, my passport's up." So he
Oh
ended up
man.
coming out about a week later. He expedited his process, but he went out there. I knew very little Thai. I knew the idea of the customs. Just my two coaches, Crew Bill and Crew Steve, were pretty good about preparing us for that stuff. So we went out there, and I actually fought out there after about three weeks of training. I was probably 3 or 4 fights into my amateur career at this point. And in Thailand, you don't like have weigh-ins and unless you're on the higher levels. But when you're fighting some of those smaller fight nights, you end up in a stadium that's half of a bar. There's like a music stage. There's go-go dance. It's wild. It's wild. But you go out there, they just look at you, and especially foreigners, they'll let foreigners beat the brakes off each other. I ended up getting matched up with a kid who was 30 pounds heavier than me.
Oh man.
Uh, I knocked him down in the second round with a head kick, and he came back and broke my nose in the fourth round with a knee. It was it was a wild. I'll save the story, but it was a pretty wild one. Um, I ended up that night. I didn't get paid for it. There were no elbows. It was like the most. It was like pro am Muay Thai in Thai. It was bizarre, but my trainer took me to my nose is sideways on my face. I'm concussed as all get out. My trainer took me to the first hospital that was closest, and we were out in the sticks. We fought way out there, and we went to the hospital. It looked like a scene out of Saw. There was like cracked tiles, the lights were shuddering, there was a bunch of
Man.
flies everywhere. And I looked at my trainer. So I told him in Thai, I was like, no, I want to go home and sleep. And he's like, okay. So next morning, they took me to the major hospital, Balmorgret, in Bangkok, which is a Western architects, Western medicine. It's the best hospital in all of Asia. It's incredible. They sent me an appointment. I had to wait another 3 days. They broke my nose back, and I was good. I was back to hitting pads 3 days later. That night that we went home after the fight, I ended up rolling over in my sleep
Oh
and
man.
cracked my nose. I woke up, my bed and like I was covered in blood. I got a picture somewhere. I didn't even post it because it was so brutal. Somewhere, it looked like a murder scene. Like I just was bleeding, just
Oh
blood
man.
clots. It was brutal.
You
Yeah,
didn't
that was
feel it
tough.
at all throughout the night? No, you
I
weren't
slept right
red
through
or
it. Slept
nothing.
right through it, man. I woke up at like 5 in the morning, and by this time, this kid Mike was in the room, and so the kid Colin, I had training partners, and they looked at me. I rolled over. They looked at me, and their eyes were fucking this big, and I was like, "What?" My face was all mashed over, and I'm looking down. It looks like I just either got stabbed or stabbed somebody. They were like, "Are
Oh
you okay?"
goodness.
Oh man, the poor cleaning ladies. I bundled up the sheets and I tried to like roll them up. Man, there was just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
My mattress was stained. I just like
Oh
held it on. I
man.
was like, sorry. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, no problem, no problem. It was bad. It was
Yeah,
really bad.
I'm sure they understood if they seen your nose kinda dented the
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
they could probably be like, "It's all good." So you said they rebroke it, so they just snapped it back into place?
So no, it was a full rhinoplasty. I went under. They
Oh,
did the
okay.
whole thing. It's still crooked because I continue to fight after. That's only my fourth fight, 20 something fights.
Oh,
Yeah, the doctor when I got home, the doctor at in Thailand was like, "Listen, if you're gonna keep fighting, don't fix it. Like, we're gonna do this. Don't go and get like a complete reconstructive surgery. Like, we're gonna put it back so you can breathe, so on and so forth." They stuffed we call them tampons. They look like tampons. The big cotton, and they have a string that essentially tampon.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they put them up your nose, and then they tape the strings. They cut them short, but they tape the strings. So I looked like when I got back to the camp, all the Thais would call me Tiger because I looked like a tiger with whiskers. Dude, honestly, it lasted 2 3 days. This is a total Calvin Cater story right there. It lasted 2 or 3 days, and I pulled those things out. I was like, I'm all set. I
Yeah.
pulled them out, and they were like 7 inches long. Dude, they were huge.
Oh
I'm
my
pulling them
god.
out. I'm like, what the? And I'm just like crying, coughing, snot, blood clots, everything coming out. And that was one. They all watched me. I pulled the second one out. I think as long as I'm hitting the nose, I should be fine. Lo and behold, my nose is still almost the shape of J. But yeah, man. And that was that trip. It was fine. I learned. That gym was not it's no longer around. It was not it wasn't the trip that I thought I was gonna have. It wasn't very I didn't get like a real taste of Thailand. My second trip I went to Sit Mun Chai, and that's out in the rice fields. Like I got all these tattoos. The kids were stopping us when we would run through the neighboring town for our afternoon run. The kids would stop and they would touch your arm and they'd rub your skin. I mean, this was a town that had just seen white people like on TV.
Okay, yeah.
We had a couple kids from New York. Um, One was Haitian and one was African. And I mean, the kids could not get over how dark these dudes were.
Yeah.
It was just, and that's the trip that I want. I wanted to be in a place where it was a little unfamiliar, a little scary at times. The gym was fantastic. The gym actually had a foreign liaison who was from, I think, New Brunswick. Sorry, Abigail, I can't remember where you're from. But she was great. She took care of us. We got to see, I mean, every Sunday, the only day off was Sunday, they took us to the Seven Falls, Erewhon Falls. They took us to a couple of Watts, which are the big temples. They would take, I mean, we got to see Thailand. We weren't in the major city. There was like nobody out. You would get either, you would take a left outside of the camp and you would get street chicken or fried bananas, or you would take a right out of the camp and you would get watermelon in a bag. And then there was a Tesco Lotus, which is essentially your 7-Eleven. That was it. There was no clubs. There was no drinking beer at the bar. That was it. And that's what we wanted. It's exactly what we wanted. And that was tough training. I didn't fight out there because I had my pro debut scheduled for when I got home. So I figured I'd go back all, not dinged up.
Mm.
But that was a really fun one. And then the most recent one, my wife and I went out to Chiang Mai, which is up north. And Chiang Mai is a very female fighter heavy city. I'm not sure why they're all there, but that's got the highest competitive female count, I think, in the whole country. She didn't fight, but we got some really, really good training out there.
What's your favorite part of Thailand? Maybe a difficult question, but
Favorite part of the country, or I mean, the people. The Thai people are so much fun. It's everyone's moving slow, nice. All you got to do is smile. Um, there's a concept out there called losing face. Everyone behaves regardless of how uh, upset you may be about. Like here, you get cut off, you're throwing a bottle at your window, flipping all this stuff. In Thailand, the person who cuts you off is not at fault. If you start throwing it and you look bad, you got to behave out there. You're held accountable and you're responsible for your actions because the public views you, and they value how you handle circumstances like that in situations. It's important, man. I learned a lot out there. I learned a lot. The Muay Thai is fantastic. The food is great, and all that stuff is good. But how one carries himself, that's the biggest takeaway. And we were in 3 different parts of Thailand all those trips. They all behave the same. The accent's a
everybody,
little different, the food's a little different, but everyone behaves by that set of standards. It's a beautiful thing. It
that
really is.
sounds like a beautiful thing. We definitely need to adopt some of those same standards out here.
Yeah, especially here. Yeah, for sure.
We're too busy being massholes and
Hmm.
whatnot. All right. Well, Thailand's gorgeous. That's definitely a place I 1000% am going to visit at some point of my lifetime.
Good.
March 15th, Calvin Cater's show,
Hmm.
Encore Boston, Combat Zone. A couple guys from your team will be competing, making big splashes in front of the boss man, Dana White. How's the
Hmm.
preparation going? What's the feeling like about a month out?
It's great. We just actually had a session last night, a big sparring session last night. Everyone's doing great. We really started to put some more of the guys together. We're a little more cohesive as a unit in terms of the guys that we work with. Um, I dip my toes in a few different pools. Having been around for 4 or 5 years now, at this level with these guys, I get lucky. I get my services requested from a few different gyms, and I tend to click with a few guys. And one way or another, whether they're meeting at my gym on Friday nights to spar my guys, and they end up having to spar each other, or now we're bringing these guys in where they can be around each other 3, 4 days a week. All roads lead the same direction. We're all trying to skin the same cat, and instead of working against each other, we're starting to work together now. We keep good people around us. You heard it from Tyson. The thing that we're looking for, and the most important overarching theme, is the quality of human that we have in the room. Don't care how good your jab is, believe it or not. Can you behave on the mats? Can you carry your teammate? Are you somebody that we can hang out with outside of the gym? Are you going to be somebody that we're proud to put our names on? I mean, that's huge. And it turns out when that's your gold bar, you end up having a bunch of killers in the room. There's no secret that there is a correlation to, the type of person, the quality of person, and for the most part, the success rate. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some oddballs, but really, I mean, it's a genuinely good group of human beings all trying to outwork each other every single day in the gym. That's it. I love it. I couldn't be any more happy than what we have right now. I mean, what we had a month ago and the month before that, fantastic. Watch this space a month from now. This is going to be quick. I mean, I can't wait to see where this group is in a year. I cannot wait. I think it's something that New England hasn't seen before. I really do. In a year's time, absolutely. I'm sorry. Here's my big old dog.
I
Come
see
on,
the
lay down.
training clips, man. What a gorgeous! Is that a boy or
Yeah,
girl?
it's a boy. It's
Boy, what's his name?
Italian Mastiff, Manny.
Manny.
Yeah,
Oh,
Manzo. It's Italian for beef. He's
dude,
about 140 pounds.
that's a humongous dog.
It's having like another person in the house.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
awesome.
that's
He's
a
a
handsome
fantastic
fella.
dog. Yeah, he's a good dog.
Yeah, dude, I love dogs. Here at my house, we have 7 of them.
7?
7 dogs.
Jesus.
Started
What
out
kind?
with 2 French bulldogs, and then there was 1 female, 1 male, and you can kind of guess what
No
happened
way.
next.
You have
Yeah.
7 French bulldogs?
She had 6 babies. We gave 1 away to a family friend, and now it's just 5 babies and 2 parents out here.
Good on you for keeping them together for the most part. That's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There's
At
a
this
lot of
point,
snoring. That's gonna be
oh
tough,
man,
man. We
a
got we
lot.
got a pug. We got a pug. So
Okay.
that flat face, snoring, hacking, coughing. Yeah,
You know exactly what it is, man. That
yeah,
snoring, it's like having, like you said, a whole nother person there just
hmm
snoozing times
yeah,
6.
yep. I can't
Back
believe that. That's crazy.
back to March 15 Combat Zone. The guy's shirt you're wearing, Mr. Tom Pags,
Yep.
he's one of the guys I feel like the world is everybody that knows is really excited to see him perform. How excited are you to see him shine under a big light?
You could use the word excited. I'm trying to keep the lid on the pan right now. I know Tom's abilities and I know what he can do. It's just we got to make sure we're doing it one step at a time. I mean, I love when Tom fights. I've always loved when Tom fought. It's just a matter of getting the good fight and making sure Tom is in the good space to get the job done. I think any given day, Tom can beat almost anyone in the world, right? He's got all the tools. It's just we have to get there intelligently. He could take his big step up right now. He could, and I think he could do well. But what happens after that?
Mm.
You got to take a bigger. You got to take a bigger step. I mean, it's the same with all these guys. Connor, Nick, every single one of them, every single guy that I work with. It's just a matter of getting there safely. And that's Tyson's job. My job is to just teach these guys how to knee people in the face. But I feel like we've created a pretty good, yeah, I feel like we've created a pretty good formula. I'm always excited when these guys fight. I'm no more or less excited for one than the other. You know what, man? These guys, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
I love that, man. You and it before Mandy came by and said what's up to the pod. You were talking about a year from now, how different it could look. Any
Mm-hmm.
early predictions? Anything you want to speak into existence?
I think we're looking at Connor Matthews is on the cusp right now. He's probably 1 or 2 wins away from getting into a bigger league. And I know ideally he wants to be in the UFC. Fantastic. I support it. Same with Tom. I think Tom's close to the 2 year mark if we're being intelligent the way we raise him. Nick's already there, which is excuse my language, which is awesome. Uh, we had a really tough go in the first one, but not everyone draws an entire country's #1 fighter for their
Yeah.
first fight. It is
Two
what it
weeks
is.
notice, right?
I mean, it couldn't have been any more in that dude's favor. And I don't know what you guys could see at the end of the fight, but that dude was crumpled on the floor in his corner, and Nick was just standing up looking at us like, damn, that was tough. Like there are so many, and he hit it on the head. There's so many things that we saw in that fight as a coach and a coaching staff that it was so excited for, super excited for Nick's growth. Same thing though, one step at a time. I mean, he's going to be learning on the job. A lot of these guys do. He's in the big leagues now, so we slow roll it. We make sure we're patching up the holes. You know, I when we talk about these guys growing, and we talked about T's game plan and stuff like that, and when he writes up all the scouting reports and stuff, I've had far more success and far more value in watching our guys win and lose than watching our opponents win and lose. As yeah, I watch for tendencies, and T and I talked about it, but I mean, I'm pouring over Rob Font footage right now. Not his opponents, not Yanez's, not whoever. Just Rob Font wins and losses. I see the most growth, and I have these notebooks on top of notebooks, man. I like the Unabomber, just all these crazy scrawlings and stuff. Like I can fill notebooks watching our guys fight, watching our opponents fight. This stuff here and there. Honest to God, I think that mentality of watching your opponents and like hyper focusing on that stuff, diminishing returns, diminishing returns.
What are you writing down when you see when you're watching a fight? What sort of things are you jotting?
So T touched on it, like we talk about offensive and defensive tendencies, mistakes, holes, and stuff like that. If I'm looking at, so we'll break down knockouts. Like, what is Rob knocking people out with? What's happening before the knockout? What round is it in? So on and so forth. Now that I'm in the camp, I know how Rob is during, like, physically how he's feeling going into a fight. That math doesn't always add up. Good camps, bad fights, bad camps, good fights, bad, bad, good, good. It's different every time. But if I'm breaking down footage, like, especially with Rob, his footwork, his weight, where he's at, what mistakes are we making? How can we get the knockout faster? If I'm looking at Rob's right hand, I'm looking at his right knee, and he's hitting guys with these, he's putting them to sleep. What's the setup? Is he stepping in? Is he stepping back? Is he pulling guys in? Is he pushing guys back? Believe it or not, there's a lot of patterns that Rob still has in a good way when he just gotten into the UFC. I mean, there are long-lasting things, and we're not talking about strikes. That's easy. The stuff around the strikes. We need to look at, like, his approach and how he's setting these things up. It's not just like the jab before the right hand. It's how many feints, what direction is he stepping off with after his feint? Like, what's his bread and butter? And then does he know it's his bread and butter? Some of these guys, the brain shuts off, they go on autopilot. And you have to remember, hey, man, by the way, like, you setting up this pendulum step backwards, like, this way your right uppercut is every single time. You can't mess with this. Don't throw the right uppercut. Let your feet work. Uppercut comes off naturally. A big thing with Rob and Tom, because they have just laser beams for right hands, and Cal too, is like making sure this hand is relaxed. Oh, when you're moving backwards on defense, get a little bit smaller and relax this. Just relax all this stuff, because that thing shoots straight as an arrow. Otherwise, we're getting the elbow because the fist is corked, and it's just this big little shit like that, man. That's what pays the bills.
Skills pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about Rob Font. What's the feeling like him? Has a big fight April 8th in Miami, UFC 287. What is the feeling?
Oh, man, it's awesome. He killed it in sparring last night. He's one of those guys who you can visually see every week getting better. His growth is measurable. It's really, really cool. And I'm psyched for him, man. He just had his kid. This one means a lot, and it's not just with the baby in the picture. It means a lot for him and the team. This is huge. Just seeing Rob happy with training and just seeing Rob enjoying being in camp and stuff, that's what matters. Because this job is tough. It's lonely, it's exhausting, and it's terrifying. Fighting is a rough way to make a living. Got to make sure these guys enjoy this stuff as best they can. And right now, we were just talking right before this podcast, and he hit me with, I can't wait to spar again. It's like these guys can't wait to put on those gloves, have friends and family watch. Like, that shit is terrifying. That shit sucks. Some guys beg and plead for that day to not come. All week, it's the only thing to think about. We just sparred a couple hours ago. I mean, 24 hours ago, less than that. And Rob's like, I can't wait to do this again. Like, all right, we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
We're in a good spot.
Is that exciting for you as a coach to hear that your guy is just itching to get back in there and in hard moments? And
elated.
Yeah.
If I had a bag in this house, I'd be hitting it right now. I mean, it's awesome. You want to see that. You want to see that self-motivation. We can try to motivate them. Using all sorts of tactics. We can read these books. We can do that. If it doesn't come from within, if it's not intrinsic in the fighter, it's tough, man. It's tough, and you can feel it. And every fighter goes through it. Every camp goes through it. You question your coaching tactics. You question the training tactics. These are things you're constantly just in this tailspin when you're in camps. Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? After the camp, it's like, how can we improve? Do we improve? There are times T and I will just be on the phone for an hour and a half, just spinning the wheel. And we may repeat ourselves 1,000 times just trying to solve a problem. Um, it's tough, man. It's tough. But when you get stuff like that, like I can't wait to spar again. Or, hey, Tom was working on this thing. He pulled it off twice last night sparring. I mean, it just, you know what, Jake. I think if I do this instead of that, that comes out quicker. Like that's nuts. That's so cool for a fighter to be in it. And it's not how can I win this round. It's how can I get this knockout quicker. I know I can get the knockout, but how can I get it quicker? That's great, man. That's what you're looking for.
For you as a coach, what makes you most happy? And your answer could just be that right there. Rob texting you, hey, I cannot wait to get back there and sparring. What makes Jake like, this is why I do it?
Accountability and responsibility. When you can hear a fighter take themselves and hold themselves accountable, hold their teammates accountable, when people are invested and you see the team working as a team, not a group of individuals in the room, that's it. That's it. I feel like I should say Calvin throwing a spinning elbow or Rob throwing a high knee. It's not. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I don't care if those guys just submit people for the rest of their careers. I don't care. If they are happy and motivated and they love what they're doing, perfect. That's it.
That's a beautiful thing, man. Camaraderie is so important.
That's it, man.
I asked Tyson this question, and I gotta ask you and get your take on this. You've been a part of so many different UFC fights and big fights and cards and all these different moments. What's the one or two that stand out most to you?
Joe Lozon at the Garden.
Okay.
When he fought JSP, which he's killing it now. Good for him. He looks great. So number one, just being asked to be part of his camp, massive. It was very cool. Fun fact, Joe Lozon actually reffed my first Muay Thai smoke. I don't know why he was reffing Muay Thai.
It's a fun fact.
Hey, this is another layer of fun. He reffed my first Muay Thai smoker, who is against this kid, James Murren, who, as of recently, is in the mix with us. He came back. He took 6 years off. The kid, pro boxer, pro MMA fighter, an absolute dog. He hit me up. He's like, hey, I'm thinking of getting back into it. Are you available for some privates? And I said, absolutely. I love James. It's that thing. You have that bond with the guys, some of the guys that you fight. We're actually two social circles apart growing up, and we ended up fighting each other. And then, we didn't really talk afterwards. Some of my friends are his friends, but, he hit me up with this. And now he was in the room last night. He's boxing with Rob on Tuesdays. So now, the layers, man, the layers.
Full circle.
Yeah. So we got Lozon at the Garden. And then maybe Rob. Oh, man, there's a million of them. Probably Rob finishing Moraes. I mean, watching Rob tear up, we all were like, we're all behind the cage, like trying to hold it in. But yeah, Rob, we feel it. But you got to be proud, man. You got to be happy. But man, that was emotional. That was emotional. He came back from a lot. It's a tough camp. And man, to finish Moraes the way he did, good God, that was beautiful. Calvin's work of art with Giga. There's just so many. Dude. Mike Rodriguez retiring out of Milstead, and that's just in the MMA sphere. I am happy and thankful for every opportunity we get, good or bad. I live a really, really cool life.
Yeah, man, you're part of a lot of good moments. You mentioned the Calvin versus Giga, and I remember that fight. The elbows that Calvin was throwing was just so insane. It's something we've never seen him do before. Was that the Jake influence, the Muay Thai coming in?
I'll never, dude. I have no idea, and I would never say that it was. It's you never catch that. Cal and I have a really good flow on pads with knees and elbows. There's a few videos floating around. It comes off of, and it's a thing that I genuinely, at the core, don't believe I had anything to do with it. It's Calvin. He is just, he is fighting like he's fighting for his next meal. Like that dude is trying to hurt people. Throwing elbows, that capacity, that volume, at the ranges he was throwing them at, he was throwing those, just with the most reckless abandon, but like within the realm of being fundamentally sound, like it wasn't like swinging for the fences. His eyes were open. He was looking at the part he was going to hit, and he was throwing them. Man, there was nothing more fearsome than a guy that's willing to stand in the fire and throw those. Because if you can elbow somebody, you can get elbowed. And that's the terrifying concept of people that don't throw elbows often, don't see elbows often in the training room, really have never been formally taught. and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of guys at this level that haven't formally been taught how to manage that weapon. And while it was happening, Rob and I were having just a great time. That was the most relaxed I've ever been in the corner because we are you're it's like watching someone chop down a tree and it's about to fall, it's about to fall. Props to Giga, man. That kid took a beating and he stuck in it the whole fight. But man, me and Rob was trying to chill me out because I was just I'm laughing, I'm doing my thing, I'm having a great time. I'm like standing up, the UFC staff's coming to pull me down. Rob's like, hey Jake, chill. But it was incredible, man. It's watching a guy get into a flow state is cool. Watching a guy get into a flow state and do his best to just get as close to killing someone as possible. I mean, that's something else, man. Calvin's flow state is terrifying. Rob's flow state is like a scalpel. Just pick, poke. Calvin's flow state is like a sledgehammer. It's different. Both got flow states. It's just different. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is. This has been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate the time. Hard
Appreciate you,
Knocks,
man.
High Park. Last thing,
That's
if
right.
people are trying to get into Muay Thai, trying to learn about striking, kickboxing, do you guys offer beginner classes, maybe one-on-ones for people who have no idea how to strike? And where can they find?
Yeah, absolutely, Fast. Thank you for asking this. I appreciate the plug. Real slick.
Got you.
Yeah, hardknocksboston.com. Our Instagram, Hard Knocks Boston. We do a lot of corresponding there. We set up privates and stuff like that. Hardknocksboston@gmail.com. We'll set up your intro. All intros are free. You get a one-on-one with an instructor. We're a small group if we have a few people. And then we're always available for privates. If you hit up the Instagram or the email, we can set you up with a staff member. And yeah, we got plenty of beginner classes. And I actually teach a few of them. I really enjoy being in the trenches with the beginners. It's fun. And I teach the fun ones. The clinch one, where you learn the elbows, you learn the knees, and the sweeps, and then the intro to sparring, how to apply stuff. But it's all done safely. And I got two coaches. My wife is one of them. One of my longtime fighters, Liz, she teaches the other two classes, and they handle the beginner technique and the pad work. But you're always in the room with killers, man. Like Rob, Cal, Tom, Nick, they'll be in the gym sometimes. Ross Levine, Steve Walker. I mean, we got some of the best bodies in the gym, and never asked any of them. They just come. It's just a good spot to be, man. A lot of good vibes. Everyone's really cool. We got a pretty good location too.
Check it out. High Parks, Hard Knocks High Park. Jake Mainini, thank you so much for the time, brother. Hopefully we can do this again soon. Good luck March 15th at Combat Zone. And moving forward, man, good luck this year.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you.